Good morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to you all to Assembly this morning. My name is Reverend Ruth Chapman, and those of you from Preston Primary School, particularly, good morning. You guys will know me. I'd like to wave. Good morning, Preston Primary School. And if you are from Kingfisher, good morning, Kingfisher. Give me a wave. It's really good to see you all. And those of you who are from other schools, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. Really, really, really be brilliant to be here in this new way and this really cool and exciting way of doing assemblies. So this morning, I'm going to be talking to you in just a moment about a guy called Gideon, who was a really super cool guy, and we're going to learn all about him in a moment. But those of you from Preston Primary School, you guys have a really amazing way of saying good morning to visitors when they are visiting you. So these guys, what they do is they use sign language. And so I'd like you to start this assembly by doing it the way that we always do it when I am there, is you say, good morning, everybody. And you do it, and I can't remember what good morning is, so I'm hoping you guys are going to be doing it at school. So, good morning, Preston Primary School. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And those of you who remember, what's my sign language when you say hello to me? There's a clue there, and it's good morning, Reverend Ruth. And I can juggle. So you guys have made my sign language be juggling. So here we go. Here's a little bit of juggling. Now you might notice that there's a little dog who is just jumping up because he gets very excited whenever I do some juggling. So I'm going to have to stop because he's going to try and steal my juggling balls. No, Ozzy, go away. So the other thing I wanted to just sort of say to you before I start talking to you is I understand those of you at Preston Primary are very worried about Reverend David's study. So because I understand he's got loads of books in it, and you guys have been telling him he needs to get rid of some of his books. So I am not in my study because I feared the same problem would be with me as it is with Reverend David. So I'm going to give you a little tour. This is my sitting room. So you can see here is my television. And then behind me, I've got a picture. Over there is a fireplace. And down here, if I can see it, is Ozzy. And he's one of my dogs. The other dog is upstairs, asleep, probably being very naughty and up to no good. So this morning, everyone, we are going to talk about the wonderful Gideon. So does anybody out there know who Gideon is? Do any of you know a friend called Gideon? Or are any of you guys called Gideon? I'm going to listen out and see if I can hear you guys. Can anyone, if you're called Gideon, I want you to do a big cheer right now. No. Do you know, Preston Primary School and Kingfisher, you're not that far away from me and I can't hear anything. So I think there's probably not anyone called Gideon because it's a very strange name, isn't it? What about some of you who might know someone called Gideon? Can you give me a shout out? No, I still can't hear anybody. So I reckon that Gideon is a really strange name, isn't it? But what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about Gideon. Now, this is a little bit of a picture of Gideon, and that's him right in the middle there. And look what he's holding in his hands. He's got this strange instrument thing that's coming out of his mouth, and he's got this flame torch in his other hand. Now that's really weird to me. What on earth could he be doing with those? Well, we're going to find out in a moment, but what do you think it is that he's got in his mouth? It's a very strange looking trumpet, isn't it? If that's what it is, it's a strange looking object, isn't it? So we're going to find out what Gideon is all about. So I'm going to read from this book. But before I do, I need you to help me out, because during this reading, there are several bits where I'm going to say brave and strong. And when I say brave and strong, I got a job for you guys to do. So when I say brave, I want you to go like this. And when I say strong, I want you to go like this. So brave and strong. And I'm going to do it with you. So just to remind you about brave and strong. And we're going to find out whether Gideon was brave and strong or not. So bash, bash, bash. Gideon was knocking the corn grains from the stalks, and Gideon was not at all happy. I grew this corn. I want to make it into bread. But if those mean Midianite soldiers find me, they'll take it all away from me, and that's really unfair. And then I'll have no bread to eat. Gideon wished a strong, brave hero would chase away the Midianite soldiers. Gideon looked up, and there was an angel sitting looking at him. Hello, strong and brave hero, the angel said. God has chosen you. Gideon gasped. Oh, not me! I'm not strong or brave, the angel told him. But God has chosen you to chase away the mean Midianite army. Gideon shook his head. But I'm really weak, and all my family are weak, and I'm the weakest and smallest of all. You can't mean me. The angel said, you can chase away the Midianites if God is going to help you, which he is going to do so. God is going to teach you to learn to be strong and brave. God has chosen you, Gideon. So Gideon sat and had a think for a moment. And he thought, my army is very big. We'll easily chase away those Midianites. But God said to him, Gideon, your army is too big. You need to make it smaller. So Gideon listened to God, and he sent some of his soldiers away. And God said to him, no, the army's still too big. You need to send some more away. And so Gideon once again listened to God, and he sent away some more soldiers. Now, Gideon thought, my army is going to be too small. But God said to him, no, it's just the right size, Gideon. Now I'm going to help you chase those Midianites away, and we're going to be brave and strong together. So Gideon's army went out in the night time, and each soldier had a trumpet. You can make a trumpet noise at home if you can do. You'll make a much better trumpet noise than I just made. But he had a trumpet and a fiery torch hidden but in a clay jar so you couldn't see it. They crept really slowly around the Midianite army. And Gideon, when they were surrounded the Midianite army, Gideon, all of his army blew the trumpets really loud. Just like that, make your noise at home. And everyone, they took the jars off the flames and they threw them to the ground with a great big crash. And then the torches were aflame and they were alight, just like in this picture. And they woke up all of the Midianite army. And the Midianites were so scared, they jumped up and ran away as quick as they could. God had helped Gideon to be strong, brave, and strong. And Gideon had learned to listen to God. So that's our story about Gideon. But what do you think about Gideon? What do you think that he was really good at? Have a little think for a moment. What did that story teach us about him? We now know what that instrument is in the picture, don't we? We know that it's a really loud trumpet, and they needed it to be able to wake up those bad Midianites in the middle of the night. But what can we learn about God through this story? Well, I think that I've learnt that you don't have to be brave and strong for God to use you. You don't have to appear to be brave and strong, because God can teach you how to be brave and strong. Gideon was really, really weak, and he was very small, and yet God still had a plan for him. And God still used him and taught him how to be brave and strong. So at the moment, today, if you're feeling a bit rubbish and you're feeling a bit weak and you're feeling like you can't possibly help the world out at this time because you're just too small and you're too weak and there's no way that God is going to be able to use you because you're only small, you're only 5 or 6 years old, or 10 or 11, or in my case, 30 something years old, and I am a grown up and I still feel weak and a bit rubbish and unable to help other people at times. But what the story of Gideon is teaching us is saying, don't worry, because God can still use us, even us who feel really weak and rubbish. All we need to do is we need to listen to what God is asking of us. And we need to remember that God is still going to be able to use us and teach us how he can use us to help other people. And God also uses really strange items. And in this case, God used a trumpet and a jar and a flaming torch, which sounds really weird. But actually, there are other things that maybe God might be saying to us, I can use you through this other thing. Like I was walking my dogs this morning and I had this conversation at a very big distance away from somebody. And we had this whole conversation about how they were and if they were okay. Now, did God use the doggies, my dogs who I was walking, to be able to help somebody else and have a conversation? What can God use you to do today to help someone else? And what might God be asking you to do to help somebody else today? It might be helping at home. It might be giving your mums and dads a bit of a hand. It might be helping a friend out by giving them a call. Remember last week I talked about that in assembly. A couple of weeks ago I talked about that, didn't I? So it might be all sorts of things, but we can ask God to help us. So I'm going to pray for you now because it's nearly lunchtime. Look at that. It's 2 minutes to 12 and I know it's nearly lunchtime. So we're going to pray, and I know quite a lot of you know the Lord's Prayer. And Reverend David last week was teaching you how to do it in sign language. So those of you who have remembered it, I'm going to ask you to do it in sign language for me. I'm not clever enough to do it in sign language, but I'm going to learn because I really want to learn how to do it. So let's do the Lord's Prayer together, and then I'm going to pray for you afterwards, and then we're going to go and have some lunch. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And Father, I'm going to pray for these amazing children as they go out and have their lunch, wherever they are across the world, across Yeovil particularly. Pray for them as they sit at their lunch with their lunch boxes at school. Pray for them as they're at home having their lunch with their mums or their dads or whoever they're looking after, being looked after by, that they'd have a really good lunch. And we'd remember how it is that God can use us, even though we might feel small and weak and not able to help out. We remember that God can still use us. Amen. It's been brilliant to do assembly with you guys this morning. Have a fantastic Easter, because I'm not sure I'm going to see you again. Eat lots of chocolates. It's awesome. And I'll see you the other side of Easter. Lots of love, everybody, and happy Easter. Bye.